Thank you so much, everyone. Please do help me to invite somebody else that needs to be here. A man, a brother, a son, husband, father-in-law, a son-in-law, foster father. I'm just trying to remember, stepdad, everything in the book. So please do help me to encourage someone. And obviously also for ladies, it would also be good for you to be online and just to kind of participate and listen to what Ebenezer will be talking about tonight. I believe that everyone, would use it in the right way. So if it's your first time of joining us on Pass the Baton, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. I truly, truly appreciate you. I just want to be sure that we're recording first. So let me be sure. Okay.
Yes.
So what is Pass the Baton? Somebody may be asking. Pass the Baton is an online platform where ladies, women, where we come together, we rub minds, we empower ourselves, we enlighten ourselves, and we pray on various issues that are affecting us as everyday ladies, mothers, and wives. And this has been going on for 5 years now that we've been coming online. And this is held online via Zoom every last Friday of the month. And you may be wondering then, why are the men here today? So twice in a year, we love to be inclusive. So we invite our men, which is special edition. It is Father's Day this month. And in celebration of Father's Day, that's why you're here. I want to salute some of my uncles that I haven't seen in a while. Thank you so much, Saz, for being here. I truly appreciate you. I appreciate my brothers. I appreciate my friends. I really, really am grateful. So today we have a very strong man, I'll call him, and I think it's only right that I give honor to whom honor is due to. I think this was one of the challenging Pass the Baton months for me because we truly look for a speaker everywhere. It was just people would say, okay, it's fine. And then they'll come back to say, oh, sorry, something came up. And it was really, really difficult. And PTB for this month, I think the flyer only came out last week, Sunday. So I want to say thank you. She knows herself. Thank you, Sister Flora. And also, obviously, thank you, Ebenezer, for showing us grace to come online tonight. So who is our speaker tonight? Ebenezer is a clinical academic pharmacist with a specialist interest in the use of psychiatric medicines in early psychosis. There are lots of medical terms and words, so please do bear with me. He holds an MPharm degree from the University of Wolverhampton and a postgraduate diploma in pharmacy practice from Queen's University Belfast, where he completed a prescribing qualification. He earned his DPhil in psychoepidemiology at the University of Oxford, where his research was focused on the use of clozapine in treatment-resistant psychosis. During his DPhil, he received and was shortlisted for various awards for clinical excellence, such as the RPS Opera Award and Medical Sciences. He currently serves as an honorary lecturer in psychopharmacology at the Institute of Psychiatry, Psychology, and Neuroscience at the King's College, London. So over past 7 years, he has worked in clinical hospital pharmacy within the mental health settings. His work has led to international recognition as a leading authority on the clinical use of psychiatric medicines, and he is also a contributing author to the internationally renowned Maudsley prescribing guidelines. And I just want to say, come on, thank you, whoever did that thumbs up, whatever. That is such a good CV. That is to show that, this person that is speaking tonight, obviously he understands what he's going to talk about. And I truly, truly want us to applaud him. And I welcome you to Pass the Baton. Obviously, you are only a visitor once. So now, every Father's Day, every couple edition, you will receive invites from us. So thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Let me know when you're ready.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Bumi. You definitely know how to swell someone's head. But yeah, First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. It's a Friday evening. I'm sure you've been working from Monday to Friday, and I'm sure you are could be in could be somewhere else today, relaxing, just chilling, putting your feet up. But more importantly, I thank also the organizers of the event for arranging such an important session. It's a session and it's a topic that's probably dear to my heart. First and foremost, because I am a man, but still because I'm navigating life. So, yeah, just grateful for the opportunity to speak today. And just to let you know from the jump or from the get-go, the topic we as men are people that matter is not something that we should take lightly or is not something that I take lightly. It's a message that I'm still trying to embody myself. And it's one that I believe we can all, or we could do with hearing again and again, particularly in the society that we're living in today. And so the premise of today's talk is not to be a lecture. I'm not here to teach. I do that from Monday to Friday. I'm not here to try and blow grammar. It's just to relax, have a conversation, and really have a heart to heart as men. I'm here to learn from my fathers, here to learn from my brothers, my lads, my mandem, my bros them, all of them. And to come together as a community and see how we can have solutions to make sure that we have the realization that we do matter in this life. So yeah, without further ado, I don't know if my slides are being shared. Okay, I see something loading. So without further ado, the premise of today is not to be a lecture, it is to be a conversation. And I'm hoping that we can speak from the heart today, just to talk about the issues that we're facing as men, but more importantly, the solutions that we can bring towards those issues. Slide number 2 is fine. So just to let you know a bit about myself, I would like to begin by talking about myself, not because I'm the focus of today, but to just provide some context and why I think this topic is so important. I'm a father of two beautiful boys and a husband to an amazing wife. And in terms of work, my passion is in the treatment of psychiatric conditions and mental health illnesses, particularly in young adults, to make sure that they have the best quality of life possible. And I've been doing this work for around 10 years, and this passion has led to, as Bimi said, a PhD that I did in the University of Oxford. Despite all that, on paper, it will seem like I've accomplished many things. But more importantly, like today, like I'm sure a lot of the men are here today, I'm trying to figure out what manhood actually means. I'm a man, I'm an individual with many questions, pressures, and blind spots. And I'm really hoping to that we can pick up something. I can pick up something individually and say that I took this away and it use this as something I can use to equip myself to how to be a better man for tomorrow. And so with that being said, if you go to slide number 2, the premise of today's, as I said, is not to be a lecture. Today is not about me teaching, it's about us learning as a group. I'm here to offer a few things I've picked up along the way, but most importantly, to hear from you. This is supposed to be a space, a safe space to be able to have real talk, no posturing, no packaging, no guy, no flexing, just honesty between men. And the reason why I say that use the illustration of a barbershop is that the barbershop is one of those places where you find that men actually open up and speak. For some people, and I can say this definitely for myself, it's sort of a place of therapy with a fresh fade, a fresh haircut, lineup as well. And it's somewhere where we talk about our everyday life, our problems, our pluses, our minuses, our life, sports, grief, hope. And we have this in mind while also having our fresh haircut and going out looking nicer. And I realized this a few weeks ago, actually, because I tend to go to the barber every 2 weeks. And my wife was asking me, why do you spend so much money on barbers every week? And I was just thought, why do I actually do it? And so I decided to try and cut my hair myself. Then I realized that my stress levels were going up a lot and a lot, a lot. And I realized it's because I didn't really have that outlet. My barber was someone that I can complain to day and night. He's someone that I voice my frustrations to while I'm in the barber chair. And it made me realize that I would never want my wife to actually meet my barber because the stories that he knows, I think I'll be in trouble. So yeah, that is the spirit that I want this place to be like tonight, for it to be a safe space, as if we're in the barber chair, to be truthful, vulnerable, and have a bit of humor as well. And I really hope that we can be open enough to be able to do that tonight. So yes, the next slide is fine. And so I guess a good place to start is the question, what actually does it mean to be a man in today's day and age? What makes a man today? I think that's the biggest question that we are having, and it's sort of a dilemma that we have today. Culture often defines masculinity by stoicism, so the ability to go through hard things, tough things without feeling pain and just getting on with it. Culture also describes masculinity as strength, success, financially, spiritually, physically. But the question is this really the whole picture that we have as men? Is this what our purpose is? Is this the full picture that manhood is? Is this what the definition of masculinity is? And to make things worse, the role of a man is, and it might not be worse, but it's evolving. Culture is making a few changes to the definition of manhood. Many of us were raised, particularly for those that are from the African diaspora, were raised to be providers, protectors, or problem solvers. But now we are also being asked to be, and this is funny actually because I had an argument about so I had sorry, I'm going off a tangent, but I had my 4-year anniversary on Thursday, and my wife was telling me I need to be these things. I need to be emotionally available, I need to be gentle, I need to be present, and I still need to be making money, still need to put my children in private school. So there is really a lot of pressure for us as men. And these roles that I described, the latter roles, are not really model roles that we've been used to or that we've been brought up to learn. And it's not things that we've seen beforehand as well. It's not been modeled before us. And so the expectations are shifting, and there seems to be a pendulum in which you are required to do this thing and then swing the other way as well. And so that can provide confusion. It can provide a lot of question marks over our life. And so I really I take it out to the floor and ask, how would you define masculinity today? Or what would be the key things that you would define as masculinity for the men that are in the room? So none of the females, please talk. This is just for men. You can put it in the chat. How would you define masculinity today? I was hoping today
You
would be a
want to
safe.
also raise up your hand? We can unmute you. That'll be
Yes.
the quickest way.
No wrong, no right, wrong answers. You see, with this topic is not an exam, it's more so we have personal experiences that are all valid, and we have history, we have the way that we're brought up that makes these personal experiences to come to reality. And so it's not a test, it's more so to learn from one another and ask, what is it that we define as masculinity today? So I have A Man by Samson Bello. Thank you so much. A man must stand strong for his family. A man must not cry over issues. Interesting, interesting. Any others? Any other definitions of masculinity? Just hoping for one more.
Someone just put something. A
Okay.
human being that loves to learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Wow. Wow. What a definition. A
And
human
someone
being.
says emotional intelligence.
Wow. And I've got another one that says vulnerability. All valid experiences, all valid experiences. And these definitions are important because it really serves as our foundation for why we live and why we do things. Because it drives our purpose, it drives why we do things in life. But having said that and having put all this in the back of our, oh, we got another one, a man must be able to to be a man in his own space. Wow, Prince. Love these answers. Love these answers. So a man must be able to be a man in his own space. And so with all these valid definitions, we come to the point that if you go to the next slide, please, that we have a crisis ongoing for men. There is really struggles of the modern man. If we're going to be real and if we're going to be vulnerable, as one of us, well, one of our Babatunda said, it's important for us to highlight that we are carrying a lot. We're carrying pressure. We're carrying the pressure of comparison. We're carrying the pressure of being silent and just doing things, stoicism, as I said previously. And we even see the stats that on mental health, and we often think these statistics don't apply to me. Or worse, even if they apply to you, you say, I cannot say anything about it because I'll be judged for it. And so this is not a new crisis. This is a crisis that's been happening for 50 or so years. But because of media attention and because of the day and age that we're living in, more attention is being brought into the crisis of the modern man. A lot of us suffer in silence. A lot of us are men that are under pressure to perform. A lot of us are emotionally suppressed and isolated. We're expected to carry a heavy weight without complaint. And then we wonder why we're exhausted and always feeling lost. And the statistics are not even on our side. The statistics show that there is a rise in depression in men, burnouts, and even suicide amongst men. 15% of men are said to have no close friends, and this has increased by fivefold since 1990 and is believed to be on the increase further. And you see, male friendships often tend to fade after life transitions. When you get married, you tend to lose friends. When you get a new job or promotion, you might lose friends. When you go into fatherhood, you might lose friends. And so this is like a double whammy because isolation in itself increases the risk of depression, anxiety, and suicide. And then you have the other format as well, where we have young adults that are finding it difficult to be able to identify themselves, finding it difficult to find a definition of masculinity, as we were able to put in the chat earlier on. And so naturally, they turn to whatever is available to give them information. And that tends to be the social media. That tends to be your Andrew Tates of today. That tends to be your big personalities in the media that tell you that you have a certain definition and you turn towards it. And while they may have its negatives, while we may frown upon them and tell young ones you're not supposed to be listening to people like Andrew Tate, or you may even agree with him. The problem is that because nobody is listening to us as men, and because media personalities like Andrew Tate are the ones that are validating the experiences, we are saying that we are suffering, and in their word, they're saying, yes, you are suffering, and they're validating it, while the rest of the world say there's nothing for you to complain about. So naturally, they will turn towards those sort of personalities, and it ends up being a spiral. And then if we go further into the statistics, we know that suicide is the leading cause of death in men under 50 in the UK. And we also know that suicide for 50% of this is new data. So 50% of men that commit suicide, it's not that they have a mental illness. So it's the pressures of life. It is not that they have a pathological illness or mental illness. It is that the pressures of life or things external are affecting them. And we know that 74% of suicides in England or Wales are by males. And this tends to be in the prime of our life in the ages of 45 to 49, where we're supposed to be in the prime of our life and enjoying things. And then to make things worse, men don't seek help because of stigma or because of shame. And then, oh gosh, and then they're often even told by women that we hold certain advantages. We're told that we are in positions of advantage as men. And while that may be true in specific areas, in specific contexts, we're not arguing that. It doesn't diminish the fact that men are having challenges today. It isn't a competition between men and women to see who is suffering more. The reality actually is that both may be suffering, both men and women can be experiencing hardship in different ways, But society will tell you today that no, man up because you are favored in various things like your work because of your pay, etc., etc. But you see, behind all these numbers and behind all these figures are actually people. There is a name behind it. A life that could have been saved, or a life that could have been saved, could have been changed around if they asked the right question, or if they felt man enough to be able to, or have a safe place to be able to be vulnerable, as Baba Tunde said earlier, or a safe place to be able to speak up when we're going through hardships. But you see, here's the thing, struggling doesn't make you weak. Struggling is part of the human nature, it's part of the human experience. And actually speaking up is a sign of strength. So again, I asked the audience, and I'm sorry to be so depression. I promise it will get lighter later on. But I asked the audience, what is one thing that we have carried or we know of one of our friends that has carried silently that we should have told someone else? Do we have any examples? You can again use the chat, or you could raise your hand. Again, remember, this is a safe space to be able to preferably use the chat. And I won't even mention names because of confidentiality. But yeah, I've got the chat open now. So the question, I'll just repeat myself, is that what is something that you know of someone that has carried silently that they should have told someone about, or they could have made their life easier by sharing that load with another person? Pressure of providing for the home, financial struggle, key things, especially in this day and age that they say there is a living crisis, a cost of living crisis. I, for one, despite all the degrees, you can talk about all the things I've done in the past, I still know that my bank account is a struggle at times. Trauma is a big thing that someone has mentioned as well. So these are things that we can go through. Abusive relationships, a key one, a key one. The statistics tell us that there are many men that are even in abusive relationships. But as I said before, because of society norms, because of societal norms, they tend to never talk up. They never tend to seek help. But the key thing that for us to realize is that there is strength in talking up. And there is strength in realizing that when we are struggling, that it is just part of human nature and it doesn't make us less of a man. And so, yeah, that's really the premise of the struggle of the modern man. But you see, it even continues further on. And one key element that is personal to me is about burnout. Let's talk about burnout. As men, this is something, or in general, the human experience is something that is beyond being tired. It's a deep chronic exhaustion that affects your mind, your body, and your spirit. You see, if we're talking statistics, we know that according to the Burnout Report in 2025, so very recent, 91% of adults said they experienced high or extreme levels of stress in the past year. And 80% of employees said that they're showing signs of burnout. And that includes things like emotional detachment, constant fatigue, feeling like nothing you do will make a difference. And you see, burnout is more than just stress. Stress says that I've got too much to do. I don't know how I'm going to work with this workload. But burnout says I can't even see the point of doing this anymore. It's like when the tank is not just low, it is actually just empty. And so here's the thing, men are actually less likely to talk about it when we're burnt out. Instead, you know what we do? We just push through. We say that I'm fine, but inside of us, we're actually running with fumes. And it can show up in various ways. It can show up in feeling tired, in feeling, even when you've had a good night's sleep, you still wake up and you feel exhausted. You feel numb and cynical about things that you've cared about. You quickly snap at people. You withdraw from people completely. The people that you was having relationships or that you would text or WhatsApp, you no longer do that. And you're not really enjoying anything, not even the big wins. And the reason why that's important because I share that because even I remember even when I was doing my PhD at the University of Oxford. I didn't realize what burnout, and I refused to believe that I could go through burnout. But even during my graduation, and even after getting a job in Oxford, after I was doing things, I was achieving things. but it was very much so just like a tick box exercise. So this is something that I know that is personally affected me. And it really required me to simmer down and to realize that I can't do all the things that I was doing yesterday. Because to give a bit of context, I would go to the gym every day, an hour and a half, burn all the calories, try to get that six pack for the summertime. But with two kids as well, I was adamant that no, I need to be a man, I need to be strong, and to realize that at this time and this age, I just need to push through and I need to make sure to be able to achieve what I need to achieve. I need to do the same things as I was doing yesterday, not realizing that what was on my plate was a greater responsibility. I did not want to accept that I couldn't do gym the same way. I couldn't have the six pack as I had before. And so, really, burnout was something that I only realized because I just randomly went to, in fact, I was reading an article. No, in fact, this is what happened actually. I fell sick actually with a cold, and I didn't go gym for a week. And because of that, I decided I was just out of the mood of going gym. So I decided next the following week, actually, let me not go again because I was just chilling. And I realized I had so much energy and I was so strong. This is exercise that is supposed to benefit you. But it talks about how if you do something too much or too excessively, or if you do some things out of your capacity, how it can influence your life that even though it's supposed to benefit. I hope that makes sense. So really, I ask us as a group, what are the warning signs that we have realized when we're running out empty? And for one of our younger ones or even older ones, what's are the things that we've done to help us when we hit that wall and we can't push on? So again, I ask us, what are the warning signs that we have when we're running on empty? And what helps us to reset ourselves or to continue to pursue or to continue to go even though if we hit that wall? Looking for answers in the chat. Warning signs include tiredness and feeling snappy. Yes, snappiness all the time. Any others? Really interested to hear from the men. When you are feel like you've hit a wall personally or in any point of your life, how do you reset or how do we rebalance ourselves to bring us back into purpose? I've got at such a point I feel nothing is working in my life. Emotional distance, the ability to say no, an important one, which we'll talk about later. The importance of saying no so that you can say yes to a better opportunity tomorrow. I always tell myself, and my dad's always told me that not everything that opportunity that presents itself to you is for you. So again, easily pissed off with simple things is another thing that someone has mentioned. That's one of the symptoms that we have. But in terms of when we hit that wall, what are the sort of things that we do in order to come out of that? I guess we'll talk about that later on in the presentation. The next slide, please. So, code switching. So this is something that a lot of us do, especially in the UK, without even realizing, and that is code switching. It's when we shift how we speak, how we act, how we present ourselves, depending on who we're around. For example, now I can speak in an African accent. Abi Muli, so Muli saw Yoruba sing. So it depends. It's code switching. My Yoruba is not that sweet, but yeah, the code switching, depending on where you are. It might be at work, it might be at church, or it might be even in your own families. And so for Black men, especially for people of ethnic minorities in the UK, code switching can feel like survival. So you adjust your tone, your language, or even your body language so that you avoid feeling, making people feel like you're threatening, unprofessional, you're just doing too much. We tend to do it to feel accepted or to feel safe or to be promoted. But you see, the cost of it is dire, and that is that it is actually exhausting. It can feel like you're constantly trying to edit yourself, chip yourself, and change yourself, your own personality. And over time, that can lead to burnout, anxiety, and a deep sense of disconnection from who you really are. You see, it's funny because the statistics show that for half of the people in the US, the Black academics, when they were studying, they did a study and they found that half of them felt the need to change how they speak around people of other races. And in the workplace, to code switch is often seen as professional. But you see, it comes at the expense of being authentic. I used to do this all the time, particularly because I felt like, particularly in where I studied in Oxford, there is not a great representation or a proportion of people from my personal background. And so I felt like I had to code switch at times. At home, I would be relaxed. I would speak like a London guy. And when I get to Oxford, I'll put on the Queen's English on. And really, it was tiring until I got to a point that I realized that it's not actually, I need to be my authentic self. And that might include my background, being unapologetically Black, realizing that the gifts that I have are important for the world and that I need to present myself how I am. And so I asked the question that how many have ever felt that you've had to shrink yourself or to shift to be accepted? Or would you disagree with me that you don't need to code switch in life to be able to feel promoted? And would you feel fully comfortable in yourself in the spaces that you're looking to get to? I've got one person that said when a Scottish client do not understand your Nigerian accent, it can be tiring sometimes, honestly, honestly. Even the Scottish accent itself, I don't even understand it. It's better they just use Google Translate when they talk to me. But yeah, I take your point specifically. So yeah, have we ever felt that we've had to code switch in life, or we've had to change our accents small, or we've had to shift the way that we behave in order to feel accepted? I remember when I started my first job, and this, you see, this guy that this, I can tell it this reminded me. I remember I came to the workplace and I bought beans, ewa going to the workplace, and I put it in the microwave and I heated it up. I was ready to eat it with plantain. I got there and I realized that this place, the whole kitchen was smelling. The embarrassment was so bad. I had to try and open the windows or whatnot. And it made me realize how uncomfortable I felt within myself. Even though I wanted this food, I decided that the next day I'll be eating sandwiches because, again, because I was worried about what people would feel about me. So yeah, other people have said for people in minority groups, this can cause identity crisis, a key one. Thank you so much for that point. It can cause identity crisis in that we don't know who we are in ourselves. And also it makes us question whether our self-worth. But again, I guess the point of it is to reiterate that we are sufficient as we are, and that there are divine or there are individual gifts that we have to be able to be able to showcase towards the world. I've got another person who says it creates feelings of impostering and identity crisis. Imposter syndrome is a key one, particularly even with all the accolades that people may say I have. I present all the time at the University of Oxford. I go for rewards, but you would never think that I still have this imposter syndrome that I don't belong where I am, even though you've achieved so much. And I'm sure many of you as men, particularly as men of minor ethnic backgrounds, can also vouch for this as well. And so with that all being said, we can go to the next slide, please. It's important to highlight that men actually matter. This is the clear message for tonight that men matter not because of what they produce or how much they earn or how much we earn, but because of who we are. As men, we are providers, we are protectors, we're mentors, we're builders, we're artists, we're leaders, we're listeners, we're friends. We bring strength to the rooms that we're in. We also bring tenderness, love, and wisdom. And so, in a culture that sometimes labels masculinity as toxic, I'm of the opinion that true masculinity is not toxic but essential to life. Men matter in families, whether as fathers, uncles, stepdads, stepbrothers, brothers themselves. And we matter to society as a voice of reason, justice, peace, and courage. And when men are healthy emotionally, spiritually, and relationally, it actually benefits everybody. We see that families thrive, communities grow stronger, and the next generation rises up with confidence. Are there any other reasons that we can think of as a group why men matter? I've listed a few, but this is the time for us to big ourselves up as men and realize that yes, we do matter. And I'm sure there are many other reasons that I can find in the chat for why men matter. So the question is, do we have other reasons why men matter in society? Role models, key one. Role models for society, role models for the younger ones. And this is particularly true in a society then in the UK where we have many young ones that may be lost and may be having question marks over their identity. And we may have heard of the term as well of young ones that are called incels, various terms that are given onto them. But if we are role models, as was said, we are protectors, we are brotherhood, very important. And this is why men matter for society and for the good of the earth that we're in. And so, can you give me an example of when you felt seen as a man? It could be in the seeing the success of your child. It may be that your voice was heard in a particular situation when you were suffering in silence. If there are any examples that we have for when we have felt seen as a man. Any examples? As a
Like I said,
brother, as an
you
uncle.
can also raise your hands and we can unmute you if that's going to be quicker.
So we have one person that said they've felt seen when they've taken up responsibility for their family. It is a proud thing to realize that when you've got a family and you're caring for the family, you're the quote unquote leader of the family, that yes, you're being seen and that your presence is so vital for that family. Thank you for sharing that. Also in men, we've got another one in mentorship and leadership for the family, friends and community. I can see that in the chat we have very upstanding men. So yeah, these are very good examples. And if we go to the next slide, please. And so with that all being said, there is an onus on us to make sure, because we are so important, that we take good care of ourselves and that we realize that it is critical that we are good to ourselves. And you see, one key area that we can do that is in the care of our physical and our mental health. There is no physical health without mental health. In fact, they can be seen as equal or of the same kind. For example, I'll give you a simple example. If you're deficient in a vitamin like vitamin B12 or folate deficient, this can actually cause psychological problems like mild depression or anxiety, or has even been linked to dementia or confusion. And so it speaks of the importance of physical and both mental health and realizing that we need to take care of these things in order that we are, as men, working to the best of our abilities. And so this includes the importance of regular checks to make sure that we are checking our prostate, blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol. You see, we need to realize this as men that ignoring things doesn't make it go away. There is a habit that we have as men in that we ignore things and think that will make things to go away. But as men, we have the ability to face things with the communities that we have, to face things straight ahead head on, and to make sure that we're tackling these things. And in the UK, it's so important because we see that there are so many health inequalities for Black men. Black men are more likely to be diagnosed with prostate cancer. They're twice as more likely than white men. And they tend to be diagnosed at a later stage. And that is because we tend to ignore things. And when treatment is harder and outcomes are worse, is when they realize that we have these illnesses. You see, because many a times Black men in particular, do not like to get checked. We don't like to talk about things. And sometimes we don't trust, because of reasons that are not invalid, we don't trust the system. But you see, early detection saves lives. And that's why it's important that health checks are so important for us. And you see, it's not just cancer, blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease are also more common in men and often go untreated. One thing that I realize all the time in my professional work that it is always though, or is mainly majority of those that are in minor ethnic minorities that tend to not take their medication. And often this is due to stress, depression, or mistrust in the services. And this is why it's important that we have brotherhoods, as someone previously mentioned, that we have conversations with people that are in the same boat as us, the experiences, so that we can get rid of all the myths around health and to make sure that we can actually face things head on. You see, that's why, again, if you have one of these conditions, speak to people that are in a similar position to you. Link up with the charities that are around you. For example, Diabetes UK. Ignore the myths that are around you. Talk to the right person, not the wrong person that will give you myths. Talk to professionals and realize that healthcare has moved forward so much in a long way that it means that these conditions, we can live long and normal lives with many of these illnesses. And again, another thing that a way that we can help our mental and physical health is exercise. It has a wide range of benefits. Most people that go to the gym now don't even go for the physical benefits, it's more for the mental clarity. And so the question that I pose for everyone is that what does self-care look like for you? In this day and age, what does self-care look like? So if you want to take care of yourself, what would the way that you would do so today? Please put it in the chat or raise your hand. Just open the chat. Setting boundaries. One person has said, yes, so we've previously said that self-care is important to set boundaries, understand our limits, and understand the importance of saying no at times. Any other examples? Examples of how we self-care? Rest like it's a job or duty. I like that one. I like that one. And so I guess the second question I'll ask is that how do we maintain friendships in a world that seems to be so busy? You see, previously I said that when we tend to go through different milestones like marriage, like having
Sorry,
children.
hold on, Ebenezer. You've got a hand up.
Oh, sorry, please go ahead. Oh, there's a good one though. Make sure you have good sleep. That is key. But we'll go to the hands up, please, first.
Okay, my name is Akintola.
Hi,
Yeah,
Akintola.
yeah, thank you so much. Where I was coming from,
Yes,
Nigeria precisely,
yes,
we tend to work 365 days of the year.
yeah.
So it's kind of a switch for me.
Hmm.
And it's now I realize the importance of, in line with the question you asked,
Yes.
to go for holidays.
Wow,
You know,
important.
I've been working I've been working in corporate setting in Nigeria for years.
Yes.
Uh, I mean, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's a sort, maybe it's the part of the country I came from. You
Hmm.
just walk, 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 walk. What we classify as holiday is when the guys hang out.
Yes.
So I
Trip to
think
VI.
holidays is a very good thing, and it's a very good thing for me now that I understand and see the benefit of holidays as a man as well, and yeah. So that's what I want to say.
Thank you so much for that precise and an important contribution. I definitely know, and if, in fact, it's a conversation that I have with my friends all the time that these holidays are important just to shut down, get away from the pressures of life. And you find that when you do these things and when you have regular base, you are more motivated when you come back to even do more. But because at times we may feel like we're doing something wrong when we're having a holiday or we're being lazy or that rest means that we are not striving enough. For my age group, some people would say the 50 Cent we would say, or the rappers would say that, or P. Diddy would say, um, don't sleep until you get that money. Well, we look at where he is now. So that's why it's important that you have the right role models and that we are balanced in our approach. So thank you so much for that contribution. And also, taking holidays doesn't have to be financial. It can just mean taking annual leave. It doesn't mean going to Dubai. It can just mean resetting yourself, getting away from a certain place, going to retreats, going to places with your local communities. It doesn't have to always be something that is pricey, but again, as Akintola said, it is something that is very, very important for us. So yeah, thank you so much for that contribution. And as someone else said, the importance of sleep. Sleep is an important thing for us to regenerate our mind. It is important for us to be able to restore our function, to be able to be at our prime capacity. And so it is important that we get enough sleep. Do not be sleep deprived in the pursuit of various things, because then it will be counterintuitive, and because then it will have detrimental effects on our physical and both mental health. So yeah, very, very good contributions. I'm very proud of that. And we have another one. We calculate too much. That's why some of us don't do holidays. Yes. I had a friend actually. So what he would do at the end of every year, he wouldn't take any holiday. And at the end of the year, he would ask his workplace to pay him for all that time that he accumulated his holiday. But then when they didn't allow him to do that the next year, he started going on holidays and whatnot. He's like, "Ah, I've been missing so much." So yeah, again, we can calculate. We're as men, we're numbers. We know our numbers, but again, balance is so important. Thank you so much for that. Um, and another comment is that there are beautiful places in the UK to rest. Exactly. It doesn't have to be financial. You can even do a staycation. So wherever you are, or go to your next town, go to a family member that you get on with it, that won't give you more stress or give you more headache, and really just shut down. So yeah, very, very, very good contributions. We can go to the next slide, please. And so this is just an emphasis of what we've been saying as a group. Many of us feel guilty when we rest. We think that we need to earn it before we rest. We tend to confuse rest with laziness. And we say that if I'll slow down, I'll slow down when things calm down, or when I get to this level, or when I get to this salary threshold. But we never, not that we don't achieve these things, but then there is always a new target that we follow. And so it's important for us to understand that rest is not a reward, but a necessity for us to be able to be at our prime condition. Burnout does not always look like you collapsing. Sometimes it just means that you are numb. Sometimes it means that you're going through the motion. It doesn't even mean that you don't achieve things. You can still be a high achiever. You can still, but it is like you're physically present, but you're emotionally absent. And so rest, as we've said, can look like different things. It can be a walk without your phone. It can be a weekend retreat. It can be a digital detox. This is important in this day and age. Delete your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook for a week, and just chill, relax, read a book. It may be a quiet hour with a family member, or with your whole family, or friends, with no agenda. And as we've previously said, it can be saying no to something good so that you can say yes to something that is better. Because as we know, the age-old adage says that you can't pour out from an empty cup. And we weren't created to run as men on empty fumes. Rest is how we remember that we are human, and is how we reconnect with our purpose. And so, yeah, so this emphasizes the importance of rest and the importance of creating spaces for rest. So it means making time where there is no time to be able to rest, retreat, and reset. So yeah, thank you so much. And that takes us to the next slide, and one that I find critical and important, and that is the invitation for brotherhood. If we do all these tips, if we do everything that we've said together as a collective and stay isolated, we miss the point. Healing happens in relationships, it happens as a collective. As the saying goes, iron sharpens iron. We were not built to carry life as individuals or alone. And this is not to say that you need hundreds and thousands of friends, but you actually just need one or two people at minimum that you can be real with, one that you can check in with. One that, like, if you're in the barber chair, you feel like you can voice out all your opinions, all your frustrations. And I'm sure this applies to African countries like Nigeria as well. But in the UK, we have various community and cultural groups that we can use that provide shared learning, that provide a sense of community. We have the 100 Black Men of London, a mentoring group that is for young ones and those that are seeking friendly relationships. We have the Blacks Men's Consortium for those that may be struggling, that organizes workshops, talking circles, social events. We have various religious communities that we can reach out to. And these are all groups that we can use and facilitate to ensure that we are growing stronger as a brotherhood, and that we can be accountable to our heal together and to be strong, so that we can take a step forward. And I'm hoping that in this, that it will give us the motivation again to be able to say that, yes, we're going to go forward with brotherhood, and realize that we're not supposed to be in isolation. And so the final slide really gives us final encouragement. It gives us final encouragement to remind us that you're not alone. Many of the struggles that we feel as men are not unique to us. Society in the way it is now means that so many of the struggles we're facing, we're actually facing similar struggles. But because of the fear of reaching out, because of the fear of feeling weak, we don't do these things. But again, this is this encouragement for us this evening to remind us that strength is actually in speaking up. And we are more than enough just as we are. If you accomplish, if you don't accomplish, you're still enough. And that today is actually the beginning and not the end. The beginning of great things and not the end. So it's just for us to continue to pursue in brotherhood and in love, in openness, in trust, and to remind a brother that may be in need that he is more than enough. Thank you so much for listening. Any questions, please? Just to add as well, all the links of the groups that I mentioned, I will add it into the group chat. But if we have any questions, please do say them now. I'll hand it over to you, Bumi. Sorry, I know I've gone over my time.
Okay, thank you so much. I thought that was really, really, really good. And I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me that that was super, super informative. You literally touched the physical, the spiritual, the emotional side of things, which is like looking at a holistic, view. So thank you so much. And I
No
really
worries.
loved, the interaction as well, the comments
Yeah, that was the best.
from people. But I'm also very aware that some of us may have questions. Please, if you have a question, I mean, there are lots of people in the room. PTB is always, it's not just about the speaker. There are people also that can, answer. And like Ebenezer said, it's always good for us to just interact together. It doesn't mean one person knows it more than another. We just need somebody to, cheer us on and kind of give us the baton so that we can start talking. So please, if you have a question or you also have a contribution, please do let us know and we can unmute you quickly. If you have anything at all to share, or you have a question, or you just want to contribute, we're looking at, be kind to yourself. Okay,
We've got a few hands.
Few hands up. Thank you so much. Okay, so I've asked you to unmute yourself. The first person, you should just get it. Yeah, go on, please.
Hello, yeah. I just want to say thank you to our guests. That was very, very, very thorough. I think this will be the first type of discussion I would attend, basically focusing on men. And for me, it just makes me realize how even we as women, wives, mothers, sisters are ignorant of what men might be going through, and because of what I've learned today, I think it would, as someone said that, about relearning, learning, and unlearning. So it's helped me as well. Well, I trust God that this would help me to unlearn, relearn, and learn from everything that's been discussed so that I know how to relate with my son, with my brothers, with my husband, with my male colleagues, and also even maybe to be there, to be someone that they can open up to. You understand? So I just want to say thank you. That's
No,
it for
thank
me.
God. But thank you so much for that positive feedback. And yeah, good that you've received something that can be tangible and you can take away.
Mm.
I guess that's the most important for these sessions. It's more of shared learning, making sure that we're learning from one another. So thank you so much for them comments.
God bless you.
Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to call the second person. You can just unmute yourself. If you have anything to say, please do raise your hands up. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. I just want to thank so much, Doctor. Well, I'm just thinking out loud that programs like these should be encouraged and to see more of it, because it seems like men are at the back of the room when the party is going on, metaphorically.
Yeah.
So because there's a statement, just like a statement like be a man.
Yes.
Be a man has been abused for so long.
Exactly.
But a lot of young men out there don't understand how to be a man.
Exactly.
So programs like this we need more of it so that we can, because honestly, there's a whole lot of young people out there who the understanding of how to be a man is really, really concerning. And those who are at the end of it, who are taking the bad side of how to be a man, the wrong side of how to be a man, are the females, the girls, So we really need these kind of programs. We need more of it. We need to encourage conversations among men and hardcore conversation. No hold bar, no sugarcoating, because at the end of the day, the society will be good for it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree completely with your comments. Thank you so much for having a conversation to say that as well. And yeah, I agree. More programs like this are important. Someone mentioned in the chat before the importance of men is linked to mentorship as well, and how young boys, young men require mentors. Like I'm sure many of you are in this chat, to be able to rise up so that they have direction and they know their purpose and are not sort of misstepping in a world where it seems to be so confused. So yeah, thank you so much for raising that point.
Thank you for adhering to that fact, because I was about to say the same thing. Yes, we're here. And one of the things that the last speaker said, I think as men as well, if you're here, you can help to champion these things. You can be that person, like Ebenezer said, to be able to look at your community and see how you yourself can inspire other people, to be the right kind of person that we're talking about. Yes, please. Thank you. The next speaker, please.
Yes, hello. Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, good evening. Sorry.
Good evening.
Hold on, Ebenezer, for what you just shared.
Thank you so much.
I'm just concerned about two things. Not with what you've said. You said it all. But what about people? What about men that have a kind of inherent trauma? And they don't have that father figure. They don't have a role model. Their father, they don't even recognize their father. So they don't have a super role model. So they have been using a lot of things to cope right from the beginning. For instance, they can use procrastination as a survivor mechanism. They can use procrastination. They can use self-sabotaging. They can use a lot of things, which, to be in a safe place, to be in a comfort zone. And that can span to when they are adults, or somebody who comes from a polygamous house as well. So they might, and those things are not, they don't really know. They think that's how they have to survive in this age, in this time. So those are there. And another one is the fact that some of them might not open up. Some of them might just shut up. They've exiled their thoughts, their emotion. They exile there and they are suffering. So they are not able, they are not able to speak out. They don't even know who to speak out to. They don't know who to trust. So when a man comes from that situation, how they cannot actually create what I call a psychological safe place with themselves, and that impacts on relationship. It doesn't mean only marriage, it means other relationship. And you can see some of them, they might have, and these days, and that's why even when we are training our girls, that's why girls now, the girls are not taking any rubbish these days. These girls that are being given back these days, because of where they are coming from, because of what they've seen. So they tend to now say, oh, some of them, they don't want to get married. Some of them, they don't want to have a relationship, you know. So all those things are creating a lot of problem within our society. And if you want to, like, for instance, I have a son who will tell me that, mommy, these girls these days, you know. I said, what about the boys these days? You understand my point? These days. So girls are getting tougher. You understand? But a lot of things, most of them don't have what I've mentioned, because some of them have actually internalized a lot of things, how it should be done, and that affects their moving forward. So, like, there's an adage I usually say that a man when you are young, like adverse childhood traumas, when you are young, and a man in a boy in crisis, or a child in crisis, will remain an adult in crisis.
Yes.
So if you want to add that,
no, I think all the points that you've said are very valid. You talked about how trauma can lead to closing up, and also it makes it a bit more difficult because you don't have that realization that it's because somebody is traumatized. Another angle to that as well is that trauma can often link to addiction as well.
Exactly.
Addiction in substances, addictions in relationships, and it can really just be like a spiral. And so that's why it's important that we have safe spaces like today, other places where people can actually heal and also first identify their traumas, to realize conversations with specialists, conversations with professionals that will allow them to realize the reason why they think. There is a book that is The Psychology of Money, and one of the chapters is that nobody is crazy. And in other words, that what it means is that it's the experiences that you go through, or the things that you go through, that actually make you behave in a certain way, or make you deal with life in a certain way. But if you're able to open up to a psychologist or someone, a professional, just can actually help in regulation and grounding yourself and processing that trauma. So yeah, very valid points.
And I need to add something as well. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm a disability advocate.
Yes.
But my last son is over 30 years and he has disability. And one of the things is that people who are neurodivergent, that is from the autistic, dyslexia, you know, spectrum, that tends not to have what I call interpersonal skill, or that doesn't. Sometimes they look as if they're emotionally vacant.
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
Very good question. So, like I said, I'm not a psychiatrist, so it's something that's beyond my remit, to be honest with you. I'm not going to pretend to be a psychiatrist. But yeah, I think one important thing that I wanted to highlight in terms of you talking about neurodiversity is that also culture plays a big part as well, because there needs to be spaces, there needs to be environments like we see in the UK, where we have an understanding of these different or differences in people, and the conditions or illnesses, whatever you want to call it, like ADHD, that may make this person to behave in a certain way. I know that it's with time that we'll see that there'll be more understanding, particularly in our countries back home. But again, I think the sense of understanding is important in order to make sure that they have an environment and that they're able to speak to professionals and to refer when it is necessary. Yeah, that's all I can say about that. But again, the importance is about speaking to a professional and understanding the importance of referring, because they are trained to deal with these things.
Hi, I want to make my own contribution, and
Thank you.
And I just want to address some of the issues that men face, especially open communication.
Yeah.
Men normally want to speak up and speak their mind about issues. But when you have a kind of environment where you don't see the support or a bias or a kind of slight taking, especially in some homes, for example, most African homes, for example, typically discipline is for the father. Nevertheless, when discipline is being asserted, the mother is supposed to show support, because along the line, some guys, they grew up and said, well, only my dad disciplined me, and my mom never, and they use that as politics. Which
I'm not at that point
eventually,
yet, so I really can't speak on that. But yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying.
So that affects open communication, and then that affects fatherhood and manhood. Second thing is the stereotype, which
key one.
Young men face in school place or while they're growing up or amongst other family. And some young men, they're not proud of their parent, they're not proud of their father, in terms of qualification or job or whatever, and that's make some of them to start living lie, Or I've seen, I recall many years ago when I was taking my son to school, and he said, "Well, we need to stop a few streets before we get to the school." And I said, "Why?" And he wouldn't tell me. Then I keep inquiring. I said, "Look, you got to tell me." He said, "Well, because of your car." I said, "What?" I'm glad I have one. He said, "Yeah, but my friends, that car better." And I said, "Look, I'm not running anybody's
competition
race. I'm running on my own track. I'll get there when I get there." You get what I'm saying? So
yeah, very valid. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm not a father that is self-aware, I'll take it as heart and say, "Well, I don't want to embarrass my son or whatever. And I say, it's not an embarrassment. I'm still on my track, and I was going to get to where I'm going to get to. Also, supporting
Sorry,
men.
can I just talk on that point before, before I miss my train of thought? But I think that's so important as well, because the day and age that we live in now, there's so much pressures, especially for the young ones. They see things on social media. They've got their Andrew Tates that have Bugattis and 10 girlfriends. So they think that's the definition of manhood. And there's so many things that they see online that it seems like everyone is having fun 24/7, and there's that fear of missing out. All these things that contribute to what you said, that you might say that, oh, why does my dad not have a Range Rover, or why does my dad not have a Bugatti? But what I find interesting and what I find key is that you have that understanding, that groundedness to understand that these are things are not critical, and that is not the definition of yourself. And it is that teaching that I'm sure you're going to pass on to your children eventually, and that they'll grow to know with time. But yeah, I just really wanted to emphasize and really celebrate what you're doing in terms of that understanding and that self-awareness, because we think because we are older, or because we're parents, stuff that our children do will not really affect us like that, or per se, or the opinions of our children. But again, it can easily affect anybody to say that, oh, maybe I'm less worth, or I'm less of a man because I don't have this car. Or it's not even that you don't have the money for it. It might be that you have the money for it, but your priorities are somewhere else. But yeah, that understanding and that groundedness is important, because even me as a personally, as a I'll say middle-aged man, a lot of my friends have big cars. They have Range Rovers. They have various cars. My car's nice, but it's not a G-Wagon. And because I've got groundedness and because I know my priorities, it doesn't really affect me per se. So yeah, I just wanted to celebrate you for that point that you raised. Sorry, yeah, I know I interrupted you.
Princeton,
Do you want me
please.
to go ahead? Oh,
Yes, please.
yeah, first of all, I want to appreciate the host and the guest for hosting this topic, and for the guests who have spoken. You have spoken well, and I believe everybody has got a good contribution towards the topic. For me, I'm going to speak in two different ways.
Yes.
Being born in Nigeria, raised there,
Okay.
Came into this country, I've seen things in a two different ways. Sorry, I'm in a train station.
No
So
problem.
in case you are hearing, yeah, okay.
I can hear you.
So the first part is, I think from the beginning of the creation of this world, or this, let me say this earth, God has put man in a charge of everything in life. So it's like, to me, maybe I would say is a stigma, or is something that God has put on a man, being a responsible or be a responsibility human being on earth. So nothing will change that. But if we now look at all these things from where we are born and coming to this country, we'll see that we'll see some differences in it. Someone like me, when I was growing up, they scare us with a lot of things, especially when your parents see you with a lady. They will say, hey, if you get close to her and she's pregnant, you are done for it. So that's what we're grown with. So we dare not. We dare not. Like me, I always say to people, me, I'm not scared. I'm not ashamed of anything. For the fact I know I'm saying the truth. Is when I get to this country, I know how to hug. I don't hug people. I don't even hug a lady. Because back home, they say to you, hugging someone that is not your girlfriend, it's like you're already having intimacy with them.
Yeah.
And because we're a cultural person, being a Yoruba person, we know you don't want any stigma on yourself.
Your name, yeah.
So that fear is there. That fear is there for us when growing up. Even though when we did anything stupid, then we know how our parents, especially my father, I think that man has been a military man before. I know what I will be punished for. That fear is there. As a young man then, when I was growing, me myself, I would say that, okay, I don't want to mess up, because I know, even though some of us, even though in our late 30s, we are still scared of our own father. But it's not, something like that is not happening anymore.
Yeah.
Things have changed. A lot has changed. And coming to this country is totally different.
Yeah. Yeah.
You cannot talk to your children. You cannot even give them punishment before you know. And to even make it worse, respect to all our mothers who is on this platform.
Yeah.
To even make it worse, to me, I don't know how some women find it so peaceful in their heart when they have misunderstanding with their husband, and they now report the husband to police, and they will not give the man 1,500 years not to come closer to his family. All these kind of things, sometimes we are not looking at it that, actually on many young men nowadays. It's actually tell us that. And I credit most women, because I'm not saying most men, all the men, they are better. Because I know some men, they are just evil. I credit some women who see being a father and being a mother to their children. I give them that respect. I've seen some of them, I credit them. But there's no how we do all these things in life if there's no father figure in the life of the child. Is going to be that child, unless God intervenes, is going to be immense. I watched a program one time, a long time ago. There was a young boy. I don't know, I don't know where that guy, I think it's for Africa, but he was born here. And there's another young girl who is a white lady. The lady on that program was saying that, oh, I don't need my father. My father is just this, my father. And the mother was sitting down there. Straight away, this tells me that is what the mother sent on her head, what she was saying. But to God be the glory, when the young black guy gets up, the boy was saying that without a father in the house is crumbled. I was so happy when this young man stood up on that studio and he said a lot. And they applaud that young man. I know there's a lot. I know this topic is a
so
big
vast,
one,
right? It's such a big one.
Time.
Yeah.
So I won't say much, but maybe like somebody said, if it's possible we can be seeing such of things like this. We'll let the rest of the men to be knowing. And another thing, let me add this.
Yes.
I don't know if men find it difficult to discuss with, but I know sometimes some men, I don't know, some of us will behave like a woman. Sorry to all the women in the house. If your friend comes to you saying that they are passing through some difficulty, they believe that they trust you being a
Exactly.
friend,
Yeah.
or
Safe
even though your
space.
family, for them to be able to look for solution for you.
Yeah.
Immediately they hear that, they will jump to tell somebody else. Before you know, your matter become CNN, Al Jazeera, everybody hear what you are passing through. May God help us, man, for that. So that's just my contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the contribution. And your last point is important as well, that integrity. So understanding that when men approach you, it's because they have trust in you and trust in that whatever they're telling you will not go or become CNN News, as you said previously. So yeah, you said some valid points, and thank you so much for those contributions. Another thing that you mentioned as well that really stood out to me is how the differences of cultures, and how for someone that is coming from Nigeria and coming to here, there is also that struggle, as we talked about, the different struggles of men changing cultures, not changing cultures per se, but adapting to the culture of this country when you're so used to another thing. But I think someone said it earlier about the importance of unlearning and learning new things as people, and understanding that we actually have the ability. And what makes it easier is if we do it in a community. If we don't do it in isolation, but we can ask people for help, because that is really the sign of real strength. So yeah, thank you so much for those contributions.
I'd just like to, where's PT? So I've asked you to unmute. If you can please just share. I would like to bring him on, then I'm going to go back to you, Ebenezer, because we have a question that has to do with health. And I know we have a few health professionals here as well.
That's
so
good.
Just to close up on the fatherhood side before we move into the health, very conscious of time as well. So we have one of our fathers, I'll probably call him. He's been on PTB before, Father's Day edition. I think it must have been 2 or 3 years ago. But I know that some of the things they shared at that time, people still, talk to me about it. And it's all about being an intentional father. So I'm going to bring PT. He's written a book, actually, that will be launched July. I can't remember the details, but I encourage everyone here to please get a copy. The reason I'm saying that is because, I follow him on social media, and he literally shares his life out. And some of the things he shares, I find them very, 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 very informative. So if a man here, you want to follow him, I will share his details. And so I've asked you to unmute, PT. If you can unmute, please. Yeah, thank you, sir. And like he would say that, even though he has 4 children, he believes that he would calculate the number of the children's age and say that's the experience, rather than I've been a father for 40 years, I've been a father for 30 years, because each child is an individual.
That's true. That's true.
Yes, please, sir.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pastor Bumi. And well done, Dr. Ebenezer.
Thank you so much.
I know I came in late because we had only just finished our prayer platform.
No problem. It's important as well.
8 o'clock. Right. Thank you so much. And I want to thank everyone online because a show like this is something that is actually needed on a regular basis. And we as men, sometimes as men, I grew up in Nigeria. And like Pastor Bumi said, I've got 4 children. And adding their years together comes to about 106. And so I say to people that I've got 106 years of experience, because every child is unique. So you don't raise one like you raise the other. Now, basically, what I'm actually saying here today is we have to be very intentional about changing the narratives.
Yes.
And I see a lot of culture play out, particularly in our African homes. I've heard many African parents say that, okay, that's the way I was raised, and look at me, I turn out okay. But the reality is that many of us are not actually, we haven't turned out okay. We're still struggling with trauma, undealt with pains. you know, that we never had the opportunity to talk about or to deal with, okay? And we brought those traumas into United Kingdom or whatever country that is not Africa that we are all living in. And so it's becoming very difficult, you know, to transition from that cultural upbringing and cultural way of thinking to actually relating with our children. I've got a son who is 34 years old, a daughter who is 28. I've got another son who is 24, and the youngest one, the child of our old age, is 18, who thinks is 80. And so the way you manage, you raise Gen Zs, you know, is totally going to be different from the way you raise the 34-year-old, 28-year-old young woman. And so I just really want to ask us, I want to appeal to us men, that we may not have gotten it right, or our parents may not have gotten it right until we are able to sit down and go through our timeline as individuals and go through what we had experienced, how our what do you call it, our choices that we make today had been written into our hearts growing up as a man. You know, that needs to change. I think somebody mentioned earlier on, and a lot of respect to that gentleman who said something like, if you cry, they identify you as a woman. You know, that's where the emasculation began from the home front, right? And it's not a society. If a young man is raised to have confidence in himself, it's not going to be a stigma, right? You know, you're a young man, you know what your responsibilities are going to be. You know, you're not a savior of the world. It's okay for you to cry and not be labeled a sissy or a girl, you know. And so when you kill the emotions in our young men, and then yet we expect them to be very emotionally engaged, right? It's a bit too late. It's a bit too late. And I think if we are going to make any difference, and I love the program that Pastor Bumi is doing, Pass the Baton. We need to pass a positive baton to the next generation by raising our young men differently. We raise the young girls all the time. We help them to identify with themselves as a woman, or even sometimes as a housewife. You know, we train them, we do all manners of things, you know, to make sure that they are prepared as a wife material, only to be married off to an entitled young man that was never raised. You know, so we need to change that narrative. We need to begin to help our young men. We need to begin to make sure as parents that we put our hands up and to say, you know what, I was wrong. You know, I'm sorry the way I acted. You know, all those things put together will help us in actually raising fine young men who will be in touch with their emotions and be able to grow as the men that they're meant to be. So sorry, I don't mean to take your time, Pastor. You know, when you bring me up like this, I talk too much. So thank you, Dr. Ebenezer. God bless you.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I called him because obviously I know he's a man of experience, and I've seen some of the things he shares about being an intentional father. And it's about intentionality. That's what I would say. And I think one of the things that I've seen, it is quite easy when the children are young, because it's just do as I say. But you see, when it starts to become do as I do, then that's where the issue then lies. You know, the do as I say is quite easy because the child is young, they just have to do. But then the transition in time is the most important time that I've seen. And I've been opportune. I always say, you know, my father is dead, but I had a very solid relationship with him. And I've seen him the way he does with every one of us. You know, it's just been intentional. It's really, really been intentional, especially if then the children then grow up, you know, and it will get to a point where you still want to have a relationship with them. And the family unit is the most important unit. If we get it right in the family unit, I believe that the society will become a better place. We need to get it right in the family unit. Is it easy? No, but we can be intentional and we can keep on, you know, and whenever we're wrong, let's put our hands up and say, you know what? I am wrong here. I apologize. Let's just start a clean slate. So that's one of the things. Someone did say, what is a man? Be a man. The how and the what is the missing link. So much has been bastardized. Cultural role cannot be jettisoned. And then the question that the person asked was, thank you for an insightful presentation. I'd like to ask a question regarding health what steps can men take to proactively monitor their physical health, especially given the high rates of high blood pressure and diabetes amongst Black men? I know that Ebenezer is not a proper doctor, isn't he? I've got a doctor in the house, lucky. Hopefully she can
Perfect.
talk. So, Dr. Idore, hopefully you're there and you're not working today. Is that a question that you can help us to answer, please? What steps can men take? Or if anybody else can answer, we've got a lot of
So
health
the answers that
practitioners.
I have generally speaking for, well, before the doctor speaks, is for
Yes,
the
please.
patients that I see. It's still important. Like I said, there's a parity of esteem between physical health and mental health. And so the things that we usually recommend is that you have regular checkups. And so this is annually with your GP. Even if they don't call you, you need to be very proactive to make sure that you're doing the annual checks. Build a relationship with your GP, build a relationship with your healthcare professionals. We always say know your numbers, know what your BP is, know what your cholesterol is, know what your HbA1c target, which shows your diabetes levels in the last 3 months, so that it doesn't progress to anything worse like stroke, heart attack, kidney function. There's the necessity to take ownership of your health and to remember that prevention is better than cure. So don't wait for something drastic to happen before you intervene. And don't ignore things. And then the other thing is also important is lifestyle adjustments, diet, exercise, alcohol, minimizing alcohol, smoking as well, because realizing the long-term effects, particularly if we're saying, and many of the men have said today, that we're important for our societies, important for our relationships, that it's important that we are in this earth for as long as possible and that we are in the right state to be able to perform in the best ability that we're able to. So yeah, I let others talk because I know there are other healthcare professionals here and some doctors, real doctors in
Because
the house.
yeah, Ebenezer is a pharmacist, so
Yeah,
all
sorry.
things that he has said, please take it on board. If anyone else wants to add anything, please do feel free quickly. It's 9:02, conscious of time. Anybody else wants to add anything? Okay, so once in every 6 months, make sure you're doing your health checks. That's an advice. And I would definitely say exercise as well. Food portion, very important. If you're a certain age, you need to start to think of what you're eating, you know, what's important to you and what's not. And also, in terms of the diabetes, I think I started to read about it recently because someone did say to me to help her to check out the foods that she could eat. So one of the things that I found are so many foods that we think is actually fine. Oh, because this is a fruit, you know, it's good for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be a fruit and it's not good for you.
Yeah.
Because of sugar levels. And obviously knowing the type of diabetes as well. Yeah, go on.
No, you're very, very right. There's something that we call the glycemic index, and essentially it tells you how sugary something is. So yeah, just a quick Google to see what you're eating, what's the glycemic index of this. You realize that this is not going to be good for my sugars, or this is not going to be too bad. In terms of fruits, we usually push towards strawberries, berries, anything of the berry family. So yeah, very valid points as well.
Thank you so much. Any other question or addition from anyone before we call it a night? Okay, yes, please. Thank you. Go on.
Someone in the chat said balanced diet is key as well.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I think, you know, as it's been mentioned that prevention is better than cure.
Yes.
We should also encourage our children as well. Do you understand? Because like,
from a young age.
So even from baby, you understand? Because it's what you teach them, they will take to it. You understand? We as parents, we are in a better position to actually do the brainwashing. Once you've brainwashed them, as you know, at a young age, when they get out, they will stick to it. They will still be hearing that voice even at the age of 40. Like someone actually said earlier on, said that even at the age of 30, he still remembers, you know, about his dad when he had left home. So I think, you know, we should actually promote that we should start, you know, with our children as soon as they are born. Healthy eating, healthy drinking. You understand, you know, because like now I'm even with my daughter, I'm trying to tell her that, look, these are things you need to do so that you won't go through those menopausal symptoms. I didn't have any menopausal symptom. You understand? And I'm going to be 59. So I've been postmenopausal a few years, you understand? I didn't have any of that. So, and I think it's my diet that has actually helped, you know. So yeah, that's what I just want to encourage, that we should actually encourage our children.
That's definitely key as well, because as we say, we're creatures of habit. So if we're able to develop habits early on in life, it's also good. And also to encourage people to make sure their young boys are joining clubs as well. We're very energetic as men, and it's not that sometimes it's not where they're not joining these clubs like swimming or football to be the next footballer, but there are also life skills that they can learn as well: teamwork, the importance of contributing towards a team, the importance of organization. These are all key skills that they can use as men of tomorrow. So while the goal for many of us as men will be for our sons to be the next Saka, there are other skills as well that we can take out of this if it doesn't happen.
Thank you so much. We've got dietitian actually, Dr. Shola Oladipo. I'm just going to add you, Ma, and if you can please kindly just help us out. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you so much, and well done for what you're doing. I think our good doctor has spoken well, Dr. Ebenezer. What I wanted to say actually was I actually study health behaviors of Black Christians, and a lot of my data has shown that most of the time we know what to do, but our issue, particularly Christians, is what we call health beliefs. And unfortunately, when I've collected data around Black men, including pastors, a lot of them have been pastors, we've found that the issue it's actually our health beliefs. And I think there's something about that intersection between faith, health, and culture. And unfortunately, there is an unfavorable balance for us to spiritualize everything. So a lot of the time, our men are at high risk: obesity, hypertension, the cancers, etc. But our health beliefs are in the spiritual camp. And there is a desperate need. And I spent most of my life, as people know what I do, educating us as Black spiritual people. We need to transition and re-educate ourselves in terms of health beliefs, i.e. faith and works. Public Health England, the NHS, etc., they are scratching their heads and saying, how are we going to reach these? I'm saying all of this because I believe we're talking about Black men today. Now, a lot of the data is showing that, a lot of the time fertility is a big issue. And for a long time, we've looked at women, but actually the sperm count and the sperm quality of our Black men now is showing that a lot of it is around the sperm quality, because they're not starting early with healthy habits. And a lot of that is around the perceived benefits and the perceived severity of illness, i.e. the minus me in Jesus' name gang, I call them. And I'm a woman of faith. I love Jesus. I love the faith. But the minus me in Jesus' name has not helped us a lot as we swallow, burnt palm oil, smoked palm oil, which is actually, carcinogen, ayamashe, dadina stew, and we eat it, minus me in Jesus' name. Huge portions of what we call ultra processed foods are affecting us. It's not that we don't know what to do. It's our willingness to take on the perceived harms versus the perceived benefits, and that filtering it through the blood of Jesus. And I think there's something about us being very honest about, purpose. And I think someone spoke really well in terms of brainwashing. I think there is a sanctifying of our brain somehow where we match that with purpose, because our children are watching. And actually a lot of the data is showing now that a lot of our children, particularly young Black men, are following suit in terms of, I'll minimize that, I can do that later. 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, type 2 diabetic, I'm sure my pharmacy colleagues will agree. They're popping up now, and it's familial. And I think we do need to do something because actually the mortality rates of our men is increasing.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I see one of the pharmacists saying, well said, Dr. Shola. Thank you so much. I was shocked, actually. I went to someone's house recently and I saw this plate that had carbohydrates, protein, and it was a plate, and it showed, how you can divide it. And I actually said to her that every Nigerian home needs this plate, because most Nigerian homes, we have turned the plates opposites, and I actually asked her, where did she get the plate from? And I was like, everyone needs this plate, because it shows you the portion control that you need to have, and some of the things we eat, some of the things like the Nigerian bread, I've stopped eating it. It took a while for me to get there, but it's something that I said to myself, Bumi, you need to stop this. It's not good for you at all. And I know a lot of people eat, and there's just so many of them out there, and it's about intentionality. Do I really love salads like that? I don't think so, but I've come to love it. I've come to, I've started to eat more and more and more of it. And it doesn't mean that our foods are bad, because I've been to a lot of, Dr. Shola's session, and I think Encapsulate as well. I've been to a lot of these sessions. It doesn't mean that food are bad, but it's not everything that is so good, and it's all about portion control. And so that question about diabetes, and I can't remember what the other one was. I'm just trying to read it. About diabetes and physical health and high blood pressure. Like everyone has said, let's start early. Let's start to take care of ourselves. Yes, prayer is good, but you can't do something and say that you're doing it openly and you're saying God will now come and it's like you're poking God in the eye. That's the way it is for me. This is not good for you, but you know what? I will do it anyway, then I'll pray after. It's not good. Okay, we've got one hand up, and that'll be the last person. I'm just going to read this. 100 Black Men of London, a mentoring and community group focused on uplifting Black men and boys. They also host social and educational events. Okay, I think, yeah, so there's lots of links for people in the chat. Yes, please. I've asked you to unmute yourself. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Am I on? All right. So I really appreciate this meeting and the organizers. Thank you so much for coming up with stuff like this, because I've been looking into how we can get stuff like this into place. Because very importantly, especially for those of us that are colored, we need to understand the fact that there are so many things that the children get to know because they were taught. And if we stop teaching them, then we allow what they have learned to remain in them. Or we can make them unlearn what they have learned by teaching them the right thing and the right model. And I appreciate the vulnerability of the person that spoke about his son, telling him about his car. Each one of them, they will always bring us into something like that in one form or the other. But what I do basically with my kids is this: when they mention something, I will not say anything, because at that time they are not ready to listen. At another time, I will not call their attention with enough examples, enough reasons why they should be able to do the right thing, not what they mention. So, and it's also very important for us to know that as parents in this part of the world, we have to be the model for our children, because it's easy for them to observe us and see the way things are than for us to think we can only do it with mouths. When we tell them do this and we do otherwise, they will follow what we do and follow what they are taught out there, not what we told them to do. So, and it's going to be a whole lot of sacrifice. And that's why I appreciate the intentional father, what was mentioned. And it's very important for us to know that we have to be intentional about parenting in this part of the world. We have to sit down, read, learn, and know so many principles that we can use to be able to counter what they have been taught, so that we can give them the right information for them to be able to understand what life is all about. Because many of them have this opportunity that many of us were not exposed to. But how good are they planning to use those opportunities? Somebody went to Rochester prison one time, and he came back and he was telling me, see, you have to visit Rochester. I said, what happened? He said, because a whole lot of our colored boys and girls are wasting in the prison there. And he kept asking them, because they went there for outreach. So he asked one or two of them, how did you get here? And, the whole story was just about, my friend, this and that. I did this happened. I went there. So where am I going there is this education kind of meeting or gathering like this is very, very important for us to be able to help our young ones. Because many of us that grew up in that part of the world, we have been exposed to two worlds. So everything we see here, we value it because we knew where we are coming from. But they have been exposed to only this part of the world, and they think that that is just the way things are, that everything goes on its own, is automated, the government do everything. But the question there is, government cannot do everything. We as parents must be intentional to ensure that whatever we want to see in our children tomorrow, we teach it into them today. We make them learn what they need to learn so that whatever they have learned in school, we can help them to unlearn it. And I pray that God will give us the wisdom. And program like this, again and again, we also help the young ones. Like somebody mentioned, when you prepare your daughter, I think intentional father, when you prepare your daughter and if she met a man that was not prepared, you're still going to have issues. So you have to prepare the both of them, even inside the marriage, for them to have proper exposed to counseling and the rest of it. So I really appreciate what is going on here on this platform. And I'm so happy that at least we have this coming up in this part of the world so that we can at least make a change. We may not be able to change everyone, but at least 1, 2, 3 that will change. It will be a plus for us before I make it. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. Thank you. So before we close, as speaker, if you have any closing notes, closing remarks, so that we can close out. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
Yeah, just to reiterate what you just said, but just say thank you to everyone for joining, and thank you for being open. It's like I said at the start of this presentation, I know you can be somewhere else, but yeah, I know how hard it is to gather men together and for us to be open and speak up, and I'm encouraged by the things that I've listened to, heard, and I've definitely taken things away. So yeah, hoping that there are more programs like this and maybe someone else can anchor and I can learn from them as well. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. And yeah, thanks everyone. That's all.
Thank you very much. And I really love the fact that, you're not one of the older generation, but you're still able to kind of bring everyone together. And I think that was just it for me. So I really do appreciate you, Ebenezer. Thank you for coming in at the last minute as well. Thank you. Thank you to everyone. You have the YouTube recording that has been shared. Please do like, share, subscribe, like my daughter would say. And please, there are lots of videos there for you to look at as well. That's the intentional father. I'm going to also actually share that when I send out the broadcast. Please do get the book. I cannot tell you enough. Do get the book. It's all about being intentional. Everyone can do it. And just to end it, I'm going to just invite my husband to just close us out in prayer. Thank you. Yes, please.
Okay. Everlasting Father, we thank you for the grace you have given us to be on this platform today. We thank God for the wisdom, for the revelation and the knowledge that has been imparted. We pray that this will transform life, transform home, and change destiny. And we shall come back with a testimony in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. God bless you. Have a good night's rest. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you. Thank you to all the men. I think, seriously, I really appreciate you guys. It's just a week of awareness and you still all showed up. I truly appreciate